Well, I'll tell you what, you almost need a protective suit when you're unboxing this thing. Hey guys, welcome back. So, another project. This is going to be a low budget welding, fabrication, roll around cart thing. As you can see, I picked up one of these welding table tops from the Evil Empire. They made the mistake of sending me a discount coupon. Not sponsored, paid for that out of pocket. And then I've had this cart for quite a while, just as a storage thing out in the outside storage area. But I kind of always had intentions that this would make a somewhat decent welding cart or a welding table cart. So let me get this opened up. And yeah, I know it's not a fireball tool table. It's just not in the budget. And I need to be able to move it around easily because I'm just stuck in a two-car garage. So yeah, it needs to be relatively lightweight. But I was surprised. This thing is heavy. I mean, this box weighs about 70 pounds. I was kind of surprised that it weighs that much. So anyway, let's get it open. Well, I'll tell you what, you almost need a protective suit when you're unboxing this thing. I mean, it was thoroughly coated with the Chinesium peanut oil or whatever that stuff is they use. So anyways, I'm kind of pleasantly surprised. This thing is beefier than I was expecting. I wasn't expecting a whole lot, but the tube steel framework here, I mean, it's 2.5 millimeter wall thickness on this square tubing. So that's, yeah, so that's like 3/32. So I think it's going to be adequate. And then the top itself, I think they say it's 4 millimeter. Yeah, 4 millimeter. So a little bit under 3/16. The information on the box says that these holes are CNC machined, but if you look at them, they're obviously punched. But that's fine, as long as they're accurate and on center, that's just fine. The edges are CNC milled, but boy, there's some burrs on these. So I'm going to have to go around and soften up all these edges. The finish on the top isn't bad, although it's kind of fuzzy. They give you 4 of these hold down clamps. I mean, there's nothing spectacular, but I mean, they're included with the kit. It's kind of weird though, you got to use a nut on the bottom side, because it's pretty thin. So that's the only thing that's kind of weird. So you got to make sure you leave access to get underneath. I'm not planning on using the leg kit, obviously, but some of these parts might come in handy, so we'll see as we go. Alright, so this cart is a beast. This top shelf or pan is made out of 3/16 plate. I mean, it's some pretty heavy stuff. The center shelf and the bottom shelf are made out of 1/8 inch, and then these corner rails are 3/16 also. My plan is to eliminate the top shelf completely, cut that out. The new welding table will replace that with some framework. The old vinegar derusting method. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. A couple of F-18s are flying over. I was going to try to get them on video, but they were too fast. All Alright, there we go. Alright, so this cart rolls around real easy. It's got some pretty good wheels. So the first thing I want to do is put some stabilizing jacks on the corners for leveling and securing it. Alright, sorry for the handheld here, guys. But this is kind of what I was thinking of. Something like this on each corner. I think that'll do the job. Nice and simple, but effective. I'm going to put a little angle cut on these plates just to make it look a little better. Okay, I got those cut. I think before I do anything else, I'm going to weld these nuts onto the end, one end of each tube here. Unfortunately, all I have are zinc plated nuts, so I'm going to make sure I do this with I'll probably set up a fan just to blow the smoke away from me. But yeah, let me get that done. Okay, I got those tacked on, and now I got to put these guys. I need 2 rights and 2 lefts. I've got to put the other plate on like that. Alright, I'll probably do those off camera. I just welded some nuts on the ends of these rods. That'll be our feet, just to give it a little better footprint, and I just milled them off flat. Got some porosity, probably my crappy welding ability plus the zinc plating. Just a quick sanity check, just making sure that I did allow enough room for the wheels to swivel and also for the wing nut to not hit. All right, I think that'll work. Probably not going to film this, but here's how I'm setting this up. Well, I didn't film welding these on. I got on a roll and just kept going. But man, what a difference. I mean, this thing is like rock solid now. And you don't need to put a lot of pressure. Wow, very nice. And I was trying to figure out what to do with these wing nuts. I was thinking of cross drilling them and pinning them. I ended up just putting a jam nut underneath. I mean, sometimes the simple solution is the best solution. I do have some thinner nuts on order. I might swap those out, but I mean, it's working fine the way it is. And you may have noticed, yeah, I bought myself a decent welding helmet finally. I got one of these Lincoln Vikings. Man, what a difference. I always have trouble seeing when I'm trying to weld. And I've been experimenting with putting a little shade hood on the back. Just got it on there temporarily right now. Yeah, they had a sale on these quite a while ago, and I grabbed one when they were on sale. I'm still working on design ideas. Now, my current plan is to eliminate this top on the cart and build a tubular steel structure. And I'm just looking at how I'm going to attach the tube steel to the welding table. Obviously these corner pieces are going to be removed. And I don't want to go any wider than the cart already is, and I want this to line up with the outside edge, so I've already done that here in our little mock-up. Pretty close anyways. So then I got to figure out how am I going to attach the table frame to the tubular frame. So I'm thinking I can use some angle iron little clip brackets, and I'll just show it on the end here, something like that. And I'll go ahead and utilize at least one of these existing bolt holes, so I think that'll work out like that. And I'll do two in the middle, and of course one at each end. Anyways, those will go under there. Now I gotta keep this open, because if you want to clamp something on the edge, you need to be able to get a clamp. Obviously this is upside down, right? Plus you need to be able to reach in here and put the nuts on the hold down clamps. And I think that'll be enough room also to reach through and put these in. Yeah, and I had to make sure I was compensating for these hold down bolts for the tabletop to make sure that I'm clearing them. I deliberately made these a little sloppy so that we'll have, you know, some adjustment available. Alright, so this might be total overkill, but I'm going to add some additional bracing right there. Just weld each end. And I'll use a flathead screw in the middle. I'm going to put the screw in after, just in case this moves a little bit on me. And then on this side, or the other side, doesn't matter, I'm going to create a ground clamp location. So what I'll do, I'll leave one side unpainted, and of course unpainted where this goes. I'm going to just bolt this on. I got some brass screws. I think that will be much better. That way, if I don't like it, I can take it off. I had a piece of steel I was thinking about welding it on, but I don't want to take the chance of distorting this tube steel. I got a couple anti-bozo marks on there, but I'm going to use the DRO for the step over. Exactly 2 inches. I'm going to give these a quick paint job before we put them in, and I've masked off the sides where I don't want paint so that we can have a good ground, and the ends, of course, where we're going to be welding those on. Alright, let me do that off camera. Well, the paint job turned into a disaster. This one came out okay, but this one not so much. So what happened, I had a partial can of this Bear spray paint, and it's okay stuff. I've used it once before. But as soon as I got started, all of a sudden, a hole showed up in the side of the can. There was a dent, and as I was shaking it, the shaker ball must have been hitting that dent and actually put a hole in the can. So then I got paint squirting out, and I'm trying to spray. What a disaster. And then the nozzle stopped working because it ran out of pressure, but it was still coming out here. So then I'm trying to use this hole to oh boy, it was bad. So anyways, luckily it's on the underside, so if you guys don't tell anybody, nobody will know, right? But I do need to wet sand this to get it flat, because it's got to be flat against the top. This one's okay because we didn't put any paint on that side. All right, well, it is what it is. Well, those are some pretty ugly welds, but they're going to work for what we're doing. Blew right through on that one. Had to go back and fill it in. All right, let me drill these out and put the screws in. Man, whatever kind of steel they make these out of, it's got some hardness to it. This one is just slightly cattywampus. It's subsurface, but it's going to be okay. Okay, I've reached kind of a point of no return. I've marked out where I need to cut all these uprights. Well, we're committed now. Hopefully my measurements and calculations are correct. I used my little cheap plasma cutter on these last vertical cuts. You know, for a little cheapy cutter, that thing works great. Man, this top is heavy. This sucker weighs at least 50 pounds. It's 3/16 material. Pretty beefy. It's the brand on this thing. Overbic Cane? Yeah, Bedford, Ohio. Okay, I got these all cleaned up. Let's see how our rails are going to work out. Alright, I don't remember if I showed this or not, but my original thought was to incorporate, you know, at least one or two of these receiver type hitches into the framework somehow, you know, for mounting a vise or any other type of accessory that you want to mount. I haven't come up with a clean way of doing it in the actual support frame, but we may still do it somewhere down the road. But what I figured out, this is the standard 2x2 square tube. Hold on, let me grab the gauge. No, it's well, it's probably 1/8 inch wall. We don't have 1/8 inch on this gauge. But anyways, this 1 5/8 unistrut. Okay, now remember there's a weld seam, which is, I got it right here, okay? As long as you have that weld seam orientated correctly, this 1 5/8 unistrut fits really nice. I mean, that is a neat fit. So I'm gonna use these for whatever we decide to do with them, you know, whether it's for extension support or if it's going to pull out, cut table, something like that. So, okay, so pay no attention that these aren't long enough. No, I knew that was going to be the case, guys. I'm using scrap material off my metal rack, and unfortunately, it was one piece. If it was 2 inches longer, it would have been perfect, but it's going to work. I'll have to figure out some way to box these in so that it doesn't look like a mistake, right? Okay, so I've measured from the bottom lip to the bottom of actually to the top of our tubing, and I've got them all the same. Some of these cuts are a little longer than others. I actually had measured pretty close off the but I measured down from the original top, so it might have been a little off to start with. Okay, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and tack this on. I'm not going to fully weld it. I just want to tack it and you know, get a better idea where we're at before I permanently weld anything. I've got to tie these ends together anyways, so I had this material in stock. Already prepped it and rounded the corners, and that's going to work out real nice right in there. Okay, and that fills in our gap that we were worried about. So yeah, 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay, let me get these tacked in. Okay, so I just went over and rechecked everything. I'm pretty happy with it, so I'm going to go ahead and burn everything in. I'm kind of at that point. Alright, so those welds are not going to win any awards. And full confession, there was grinding involved. Alright, let's make sure. I already checked these. Our extension rails. The clearing. Alright, I'm happy with that part. Looks good. My original plan was to eliminate the center shelf. And I left it in there, you know, to keep everything squared up while modifying the top. But I'm kind of rethinking it now. I want to have room for the plasma cutter on the bottom. But right now it won't fit, okay? And that's kind of the reason I was thinking about getting rid of that shelf. And also if I wanted to put the TIG welder underneath, it's quite a bit taller. But I think what I'm going to do is just cut this lip out, and that will allow the plasma cutter to slide in. I'll put some angle underneath to reinforce that edge, and I think we'll just go with that for now. You can always cut that middle shelf out later if it becomes a problem. But you know, it's a nice shelf. I hate to lose it, but it is kind of in the way. But let's just try it first. All right, I got these little brace pieces made up. One's going to go like that, and then I'm going to put one on the inside here also. I'm going to put a little draw bolt through there to suck it up before I tack it down. The bottom's got a little bit of a wow to it. I'm making this up as I go. I think I'm going to cut the ends here with the bandsaw. Okay, I can get in there to do that. And then I'm going to clamp this piece of angle iron. Get it turned the right way. Clamp this piece of angle iron on here and use it for a guide. I'm going to try to cut right through the radius, which means I'm going to be cutting through these welds also. It's alright, I got a grinder. I'm not crazy about this stitch weld, so plus I have a few goof ups. So I'm going to fill it all in and then see if we can grind it into a nice little bead. Okay, well that looks a lot better. I still got a little bit of undercutting. I'll probably just put a little body filler on there when I do the paint job. I'm adding a couple paper shims to these tabs just for the mock-up. Oops, they go that way, Dean. Yeah, just to give it a little extra clearance in case things move a little bit when you're welding, and I'll take those out for the final assembly. All right, we got all the tabs welded on. So probably the next thing I'm going to do is take this outside, pressure wash it. Got a lot of wire. Well, I'll wire brush it first, then I'll pressure wash it, do a little paint prep. We're going to give it a paint job before we do the assembly. Still doing some test fitting and mock-up before I start doing any painting. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a couple receiver tubes. I'm going to put one right here. I've already notched this to clear this little corner right there. I'm going to put a receiver tube there. And I got another one. I'm going to put this one, a little different style. I'm going to put this one probably over here. Still kind of looking at this to get the best idea what will work better. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll probably do that off camera. I'm going to start prepping for paint, but I want to try to get everything accessory-wise mounted, while it's still in the rough condition. There's the mock-up for the first one. That should be enough weld. I don't want to overdo it. All right, one done. One more to go. Okay, second receiver tube is on. Hey, Ethan, look up here. I'm leveling the top in relation to the shelves, so I've gone around and leveled everything as best I can. I mean, there's a lot of tolerance in these shelves, so we're just kind of taking the average, and then I'm adjusting for any out of flatness as best I can at the same time. And I've done that. I've got everything snug down. I think I'm going to go ahead and pin these tabs because these have slots, just so nothing will move. Top is installed. Paint job is done. Let's do a little walk around. I'll be building accessories for it as we go along, but for now the base project is done. I did get you a better angle over here. I did come in and pin all these tabs with a 632 machine screw on each one. So once I got it all leveled and positioned how I wanted it, that way hopefully it doesn't slip. Let's check it for flatness. So I've been checking it for flatness. It's not bad, okay? I mean, it's not horrible. It's going to be perfectly fine for what I do. So I've been going around with a 20 thousandths feeler gauge, and there are some low spots. Bunch over here. Let's go this way. Okay, that's all right. Okay. It's a little low in this area here and a little bit over here. Yeah, this is a low area here too. 20 thousandths feeler gauge. This part of it is pretty good. And then of course we go this way. Yeah, got a low area over here. That's not bad there at all. Okay. Yeah, the worst area is right here. And let's see, well, that's 20 thousandths. Okay, I think if I go to the 25, that's about what it is. Let's do the 24. Easier to get that one out. Yeah. Okay, it's still right there. Yeah, so, I mean, for a budget welding table and for home use, you know, I'm not building space shuttle parts. I think that's going to be fine. And I did do some shimming. I added some shims under the cross brace here and here to try to help that low spot. But even though this top isn't real thick, it still takes a lot of pressure to try to move it any. All right, hey guys, thanks for sticking with the project. This kind of drug on for several weeks. We were doing a bunch of family things, so I was only getting an hour here and there to work on it. But we got it done, and I'm happy with the results. It's going to work out great. It's been a long time coming. I've never had a good welding slash fixture table to work off of, so that'll be nice. It comes with a lot of accessories. I haven't figured out what everything's used for yet, but I mean, these have little magnets. These are threaded, so they go underneath, you know, for, you know, hold down blocks or what have you. Corner stops, I guess. I have no idea what these are for, but we'll figure it out. And some stop blocks. Yeah, so yeah, thanks guys. And hit that thumbs up button if you don't mind. It really helps out, and we appreciate that. I'm going to throw in some bonus footage at the end if you want to stick around for that. And other than that, we will see you guys on the next video. Thanks for stopping by. Bye now. Yeah, you can't tighten these bolts down real tight because it's going through, you know, the hollow square tubing. It'll just crush the tubing. So that's why I wanted to pin these, knowing that these aren't going to be that tight. You got to leave these ends open so that you can get your nut on the bottom of your clamp, or if you're using, you know, C-clamp or any other type of clamp. So you got you know, room to get them in here. Okay. Yeah, that's going to work also. That's my spare vise I keep over at the other end of the workbench in its own receiver tube. We'll go here. Alright, and then we've got the end ones that we can still do stuff with. As far as the paint color goes, I was using up 4 different partial cans of gray paint. And I just saved the one that was the fullest for the end to try to top coat everything with one color. And if you look closely, there's a few spots where you can see more than one color. But I won't show you those. Alright, well, full disclosure. I mean, what fun would it be if you didn't make at least one mistake? And this was a pretty good one. So when I was attaching our square tubing, this corner slipped a little bit. And I did not notice it, even when I checked it after tacking everything together. So I ended up having to put in 1/8 of an inch shims under this one and this one. So our tabletop will still be level and flat, but this tube is going downhill just slightly. I mean, it's not bad enough that when I discovered it that I wanted to grind out all the welds and redo everything. It's just it's gonna be okay. It's just disappointing when you have a screw up like that. Alrighty, I'm gonna put paper shims between here.